The Leominster City Council meeting is funded in part by DeCarolis Insurance Agency at www.decarolisinsuranceagency.com and by Avidia Bank at www.avidiabank.com.
It's 6:35, and we have a public hearing scheduled. Councilor Angelini, who is the chair of Legal Affairs, has a serious medical circumstance in his family and will not be here tonight. So, Councilor Tossi, you are the acting chairperson of Legal Affairs. So I'd ask you to start 30-24.
Thank you, Mr. President. Start public hearing. Al?
Yeah, just read the blurb in the agenda. Maybe Mr. Niles here, if you want to join us and give us a little bit of an explanation on what's you're proposing.
Same fee, instead of having to have all these different portions you have to bring in together. So we're not trying to charge more or less money. The new fee schedule just makes it a little easier for us and for the customers to figure out what the price is going to be.
Okay. May want to solicit the council for any questions, Councilor. Does any member of the council have any questions for Mr. Nile?
Mr. Nile, can you just explain? I don't understand. So you have two separate fees, one for you're saying a gas, one for electric.
Right. So right now, if you're doing if you're taking a gas hot water heater out and replacing it with a gas hot water heater, you just get one permit. If you're doing gas to electric, now it changes what you're getting, because now you need a gas permit and you need a regular permit, a regular plumbing permit, and you don't pay for it. You're still paying the same fee, but now it's a lot of paperwork, and it's just multiple things added together. And the problem we have is a lot of the plumbers that are doing the work, they're sending us in the wrong checks. And then we have to send them back to check and get the lower check because they're always overpaying us. And this will just simply eliminate that problem, cut down on our paperwork, our mailing stuff back and forth. We're just simplifying it.
Okay, so it's actually to help the professionals.
Yes.
Professional people do that, so it's just going to be easier for them paperwork-wise and fee payment-wise.
Yes.
Okay, and it's not costing the taxpayers anymore. It's not costing the homeowners anymore.
Nope.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is this typical of how other communities operate? Like, where do we come up with this new idea to do things this way?
Yeah, these fees, I've been here 11 years. Those fees were in place when I got here. And we've checked with other neighboring cities and towns, and their fee schedules are more like the simplified one that I'm proposing.
Okay. It looks like whatever you printed up here, it went into effect July 13th, 2009. So what you're proposing is what's more typical nowadays of what other communities do as well?
Yes, it just simplified it.
Okay.
Is there a fee for inspections?
Yes.
Is that changing?
Nope.
So that's not affected by this particular petition. It's already in place.
Right.
Counselor, if you want to go to the public now, perhaps? Just ask if there's any member of the public that wishes to comment on 30-24.
30-24.
Gonna go 3 times.
Times.
Okay. Anybody else on the council have any comments or questions? Is it your desire to close the public hearing?
Yes, yes, I desire to close this hearing.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Now. So it's 6:40 and we can go into 35-24. Be prepared to proceed with that, Councilor Tossi?
Yes, I think that one's withdrawn for the moment.
You've got to read it into the record and then ask if there's any comments.
35-24, Officer Julio Ramos, Leominster Police Department, requests to amend Chapter 13 of the revised ordinance entitled Motor Vehicles and Traffic. Chapter 13, Section 13-24 of the revised ordinance entitled No Parking on Certain Street by inserting the following text: Church Street, south of Merriam Ave for 136 feet, Church Street, starting from 248 feet from Merriam Avenue, ending at the intersection of Church Street and West Street.
Okay, I think you're correct. I think this is the one that Bill Ramos wants to be withdrawn, but still you need to check if there's any comments from the council and then from the public.
Fellow councilors, any questions or concerns?
All right, just check with the public.
Any questions from the public? Once, twice, 3 times.
All right, appears no public. Councilor Frida?
Just protocol sake, I'm not sure the chief should be asking to give a leave to withdraw because it's not his petition. It should come from, and we know it's going to be withdrawn, but it should come from Officer Ramos.
You spoke on. He's aware of it.
Yeah, so what happened with this is the Holy Officer Ramos saw the DPW comment, and then they went back out and they agreed upon it. And then Officer Ramos came and he had me type up the new proposed language to match that. And it was determined that it was too much of a change for this petition, so it would have to be resubmitted. So the chief said he would do it on Officer Ramos's behalf because he was out on patrol and not near the station to get it done in time.
That's the answer to that. He suggested he did do it. That's the point. That's the point.
His letter should be in your packet with his signature.
Yes.
Yes, I have it ready, but we wanted to wait until this one's withdrawn before we put it on so there's no confusion.
Councilor Shalfo?
Right. So this petition is going to be given leave to withdraw. We're getting a completely new one. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? If not, I assume, Councilor, you want to close the public hearing?
Yes, I would.
Okay, very well. All right, let's see. Okay, it's 6:45. We have a third hearing scheduled on 25-24. In this particular case, the petitioner is Counselor Angelini, who, as you already know, is not here tonight, cannot be here. I know the counselor is looking for further time on this, but I'm going to have Counselor Tossi start the hearing. And I will note at the outset, just for public edification, a couple of things. One, our city solicitor, Brian Riley, has opined that all of us, including Counselor Angelini in specific, can participate, deliberate, and vote on this petition, if in fact that's what happens. And there are opinions on file with the city clerk addressing both of those items, as well as a new piece of information received this evening from the building inspector consisting of a Supreme Judicial Court case that addresses this particular issue that if this matter is in fact given further time, we'll have to look at between now and then. But that being said, Councilor Tossi, would you please read into the record 25-24 and solicit comment from the council?
Sure. Peter, 25-24, Peter Angelini, Ward 5 Councilor, requests to revise the amended Leominster City Ordinance by inserting a new section regarding short-term rental units.
So having indicated what I did at the outset, does any councilors have any questions or comments at this juncture? Council Frida? Well, based on what Councilor Angelini was looking for in terms of further time, I would assume, Councilor Tossi, you're going to want to potentially at least continue this public hearing?
Yes, yes, I would, President.
For your own sake, at least. But you want to wait till it comes up in the agenda, Councilor? Okay. So, Councilor Tossi, you'll need to go to the public.
Does anybody have any questions? Going once? Not somebody. Going twice? 3 times.
All right. So we'll take this up under the regular agenda to address the status of the public hearing as well as the status of the petition itself. Unless anybody has anything else, we're done till 6:55. Yeah, we'll do that during the regular meeting. Yeah. Right. For now, till we get to it under our regular agenda. So we're on a TV timeout to 6:55. Okay, it's 6:55 and we're going to conduct the public forum. The public forum is an opportunity for any member of the audience to speak on a matter specifically listed on the council agenda. Speakers will be asked to come to the microphone and state their formal name and address along with identifying the specific item or items they wish to address. Each speaker is respectfully asked to keep their comments within a 2-minute time frame. The council will not be responding or answering any questions. However, at the discretion of the council president, clarification may be given. Does any member of the public wish to address the city council on an agenda item this evening? Please step forward, identify yourself, and the microphone is yours.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Joe Bolton. I live on 15 Wisteria Drive, and I am pleased to announce very first Leominster French Canadian Festival. So I've been planning this very furiously. The date is going to be June 22nd, Saturday, 3 to 7 p.m. at Carter Park. I started with a grant, with a generous grant from the Leominster Cultural Council. And we do have a Facebook page. And I've already, in the month that I've been planning this, I've already have a couple of food vendors. They'll be selling poutine and other French Canadian themed food. The government of Quebec is actually going to be setting up a booth. I have some French Canadian genealogists who specialize in French Canadian genealogy. I have a high school French club that'll be coming down to help set up children's games. And I'm having a company from Quebec come down with a game that's really hot in Quebec right now called Kinball, which is an inflatable ball 4 feet in diameter. So I'm going to have the high school kids assist that company with running the festival. Now, as I said, this is the first one. Oh, this is the, nobody hear me better. Okay, this is the first festival. So I've been building it from scratch. And although I've got quite a bit accomplished, there are some things I do need assistance with, and that the city can actually help me with. And I would say in general terms, what probably I need is probably very much what any other festival, we've had a lot of great festivals in Leominster, probably whatever those other festivals have also required. Right off, the first on the list would be, insurance, liability insurance to cover the festival, some assistance in planning resources. Those are the things that I would do need to kind of keep this moving and keep it down. So I do think this festival has a lot of interest. I know on the Facebook page, in the 1 week that I've had the festival Facebook page on, I've had 357 followers, many likes, and also the Leominster United Facebook page, a lot of interest on there. So there is interest. I have the vendors, but I do need just a little bit of support and maybe some extra hands.
Well, thank you for beginning our meeting on such a lighthearted note. Technically, this is for agenda items only. So I'm going to make believe that your presentation just occurred during the community calendar event section of our agenda. But we're going to wish you very well. And I would encourage you to, if you haven't done already, is to reach out to the mayor, who is obviously, and his staff, who do a number of festivals during the year. And I'm sure you might get a warm reception there. And we wish you luck with it.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Yes.
I will take responsibility for Mr. Ball. He wanted to come and talk about it, and I said, welcome. I would calendar. So, he was just doing his presentation.
I understand.
He is trying to find out if he can get insurance through this. He has to get his own. Chapter Lane. I wasn't aware of it, so I think he just needs to find out
Sure.
if the mayor is putting it as a city.
All right. Well, I would, like I said, I encourage you to reach out to the mayor's office and see if you can coordinate some of those things you need. And like I said, thank you for bringing a lighthearted event to our meeting.
Yes, and thank you for your indulgence.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Good night then.
Good night. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to address the city council on a matter that's on our agenda? Second time, any member of the public that wishes to address the city council on an agenda item? And a third and final time, is there any member of the public that wishes to address the city council on an agenda item? Seeing none, I will declare the public forum closed. And it's 7 o'clock and we can begin the formal meeting with a pledge. I'll now take a roll call of all of the councilors in attendance, starting with Councilor David Cormier,
Present.
Councilor Pauline Cormier,
Present.
Councilor Tossy,
Present.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr,
Present.
Councilor Robbins,
Present.
Councilor Frida, and I shall be recorded as present. We have 7 councilors present this evening. Do we have any records to approve, Madam Vice President?
President, I would respectfully request we give further time on the records tonight.
On both February 12th and the 26th?
Yes, please.
All right. I just will say for the record, we'll do that unless there's any objection from anybody. But, these are really supposed to be done at the next meeting, according to the Attorney General's office. At least that's what they prefer. And they're not supposed to really exceed 30 days, which it looks like we're going to do with respect to the February 12th minutes. So we need to sort of get a little bit more prompt with this, I think, in the future. Councilor Frida?
It'd be more appropriate if we actually took individual votes of the minutes as they do in the planning board, zoning board, school committee, all the others. I mean, it would be more appropriate to do that rather than,
I interpret what we essentially do is that, because if there's an objection raised by somebody, we typically give heed to that objection and until it's resolved. So I think we are allowing participation of all the members to consent to the placing of those minutes on file. That's the way we've always done it, as long as I can remember. No, I have no memory in my 10 years here of having a vote on any. Well, if you prefer, we can do votes, but yeah,
it just looks so different watching the planning board do it. I mean, they individually voted and they had any objections. I just think it'd be easier on.
We've been even more cognizant of people's concerns over the minutes by allowing any member to object until we get them the way we want them. So I don't think it makes a hill of beans a difference. So I'm not going to argue the point. All right, moving on to communications from the mayor, starting with C46.
C46, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requests that an appropriation of $850 being made to the Disability Commission parking fines account, the same amount to be transferred from the excess and deficiency account.
C46 is referred to the Chairman of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am the treasurer of the Disability Commission, so I'm going to ask that the other member handle this, and I believe there's also an amendment to this. So,
okay, and that would be, I guess,
That's my.
Pauline Cormier.
Thank you, Mr. President. We did receive a letter dated March 8th, 2024 from Jennifer Reddington. Dear members of the City Council, I respectfully request the Council Order C-46 be amended to transfer the amount of $1,012.50 instead of $850, which was previously submitted, due to an error in the paperwork that was submitted to the City Clerk's office. All other information in the communication remains the same. So, and I believe we all have a copy of the letter in our packets and a copy of the breakdown of the of what exactly the amendment is going to be and what it's going for. So before we give this further time, I would ask if we could amend that. And seeing as I am the sole member of finance, it would be a unanimous recommendation to grant the amendment.
Do we have a second on the motion to amend? Councilor Shalfo Zephyr. Any discussion? All those in favor of amending C-46 by inserting $1,012 for $850, please recognize in the usual manner. Anyone opposed? So by a vote of 6-0, C-46 is amended and given regular course.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Moving on to C-47.
C-47, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $55,000 be made to GAA MHA out of the capital expense line in the general fund, the same amount to be transferred from the opioid stabilization fund.
C-47 is referred to the Chairman of Finance.
And C-47 is given regular course, first time on the agenda.
C-47 has been given regular course. Moving on to petitions, first time on the agenda, starting with 38-24.
May I read these in block, Mr. President?
You may.
38-24, GameStop Inc. requests to renew license at 26 Orchard Hill Park Drive, Leominster, Mass. 39-40, Everything Cutie Inc. requests to renew secondhand license at 1021 Central Street, Leominster, Mass. 40-24, Everything Cutie Inc. requests to renew secondhand license at 901 Central Street, Leominster, Mass.
38-24, 39-40, and 40-24 are all referred to the Chairwoman of Ways and Means.
Regular course, please, Mr. President.
Very well. 38-24, 39-40, and 40-24 have all been given regular course. Moving on to matters before the City Council, starting with the financial report. Is the Chairman of Finance ready to present?
Yes, Mr. President, we began the fiscal year on July 1, 2023 with $21,785,513.54. We've earned in interest $377,311.40. And provided that we pass or grant C-40 tonight, we will add back $4,115,600 that we borrowed. Now that free cash is certified, we'll add that back, and that will bring our balance back to $22,162,824.94, and that is the financial report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Moving on to matters before Finance. C-40, is the Chairman ready to report?
Yes, Mr. President, C-40, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $4,115,600 be made to the stabilization fund, the same amount to be transferred from the excess and deficiency account. Once again, as customary every year, once free cash is certified, any amount of money that we borrow from stabilization, we always pay back. So that is exactly what we're doing with this appropriation. And it would be my recommendation that we grant C-40, and I'll ask that you check with the other member of my committee.
Councilor Pauline Cormier.
I agree.
You've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee to grant C-40. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting C-40, please recognize in the usual manner. Anyone opposed? By a vote of 7-0, C-40 has been granted. Does the Chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, ordered that the sum of $4,115,600 be made to the stabilization fund, the same amount to be transferred from the excess and deficiency account. Move for the adoption of the order.
You've heard the request to adopt the order. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the order, please say yay.
Yay.
Anybody opposed? The order is adopted by a vote of 7-0. Moving on to C-41.
C-41, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requested an appropriation of $662,236.32 be made to the Water Department Capital Outlay Expense Account, the same amount to be transferred from the excess and deficiency account. Once again, this is money that once they close out the books, it purges out, and we always move it back in, very customary. So it would be my recommendation that we grant C-41.
Councilor Pauline Cormier.
I agree.
You've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee to grant C-41. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting C-41, please recognize the usual manner. Anyone opposed? By a vote of 7-0, C41 has been granted. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, order that the sum of $662,236.32 be made to the Water Department Capital Outlay Expense Account. The same amount to be transferred from the excess and deficiency account. Move for the adoption of the order.
You've heard the request to adopt the order. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in. Council Frida?
Please, doesn't give them very much money on free cash to a lot of the things that are gonna be needed to be done throughout the city, so hopefully they have other means to, because I'm sure they have a lot of capital projects and they're not gonna have enough money to do what they normally do with it.
Yeah, I certainly will inquire. I don't know if I haven't heard of any, potential rate increases or anything like that, but I'll find out. I'll find out what what they're looking, what their futures are. Well, or budget time will be here in just a couple of months and we can ask those questions as well.
It's still evidence as a surplus from last year. Yeah. Okay, any other discussion on the request to adopt the order? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the order, please indicate by saying yay.
Yay.
Anyone opposed? The order is adopted by a vote of 7-0. Moving on to C42.
C-42, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requesting an appropriation of $394,080.93 be made to the Sewer Department Capital Outlay Expense Account. The same amount to be transferred from excess and deficiency. Once again, this is very customary every year. Once they close out, do free cash, they purge all this money, and then we put it back into this fund. So it would be my recommendation that we grant C-42, and I ask that you check with members of my committee.
Councilor Pauline Cormier.
I agree.
The MS recommendation of the Finance Committee is to grant C-42. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting C-42, please indicate in the usual manner. C-42 has been granted by a vote of 7-0. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, ordered. Hold on one second. Order that the sum of $394,080.93 be made to the Sewer Department Capital Outlay Expense Account, same amount to be transferred from the excess and deficiency account. Move for the adoption of the order.
You've heard the request to adopt the order. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the order, please indicate by saying yay.
Yay.
Anyone opposed? The order is adopted by a vote of 7-0. Moving on to C-43.
C-43, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requests an appropriation of $133,375 be made to the Capital Stabilization Fund, the same amount to be transferred from the excess and deficiency account. This is another account that we have borrowed some money from. And now that we have our free cash certified, we're going to pay that money back. I will note that once we pay this money back, there will be $3,158,000 in this account. $1 million of that has been dedicated to the police station for expenses. Once that comes about, they will draw off of there. We will get an appropriation someday for that. But this, just to refresh everyone's memory, the $133,375, this was sent by the mayor's office today. I don't know if somebody requested this, but I had spoken to Jen earlier and gotten this information, that it's to replenish the Capital Stabilization Fund purchases that were made from this fund before free cash was certified, such as a DPW truck, IT, fire Wi-Fi upgrade, DPW cameras, and things of that nature. So it would be my request that we pay this fund back and grant C-43.
I'll check with Councilor Pauline Cormier.
Please.
I agree.
The unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee is to grant C-43. Any discussion? Councilor Shalfo Zephyr.
Very much. Through the chair to the finance chair. I did ask the mayor for some detail on this because there was just no explanation. And do you have a readout or detail on the Capital Stabilization Fund? I was looking in our finance report. I didn't see it.
I don't. I can get one. I
That
don't.
would be helpful because that would be really helpful just to match up the expenses, that we've already appropriated against this.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank-
I'll request that
Okay.
of the comptroller.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Any other comment? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting C-43, please recognize the usual manner. Anyone opposed? By a vote of 7-0, C-43 has been granted. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, order that the sum of $133,375 be made to the Capital Stabilization Fund, the same amount to be transferred from the excess and deficiency account. Move for the adoption of the order.
You've heard the request to adopt the order. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the order, please indicate by saying yay.
Yay.
Anyone opposed? By a vote of 7-0, the order has been adopted. Moving on to C-44.
C-44, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requests that an appropriation of $250,000 be made to the flood fund, the same amount to be transferred from the stabilization. This is one of those appropriations, obviously, that regarding the September 11th flooding. We had to do a lot of temporary work, and we need to pay this back. The DOR, so in addition to snow and ice, this is one account that we were allowed to go into deficit spending on. The DOR did allow that. We were deficit spending a little bit. This money will pay that back. It would be my recommendation that we grant C-44, and I'll ask that you check with members of my committee.
Councilor Pauline Cormier.
I agree.
Unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee is to grant C-44. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Shalfo Zephyr.
Yeah, through the chair to the finance chair, same question really, as if we could get detail on this. Because in looking at the stabilization account, we've made 4 transfers from stabilization, not including this one. This would be the 5th one from stabilization into the flood fund. So it would be helpful if we could get a detail on what the money's been spent on.
Okay.
Thank
I'll
you.
ask for that breakdown. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sure.
Is there any other discussion or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting C-44, please recognize the usual manner. Anyone opposed? By a vote of 7-0, C-44 has been granted. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, order that the sum of $250,000 be made to the flood fund, the same amount to be transferred from the stabilization account. Move for the adoption of the order.
You've heard the request for the adoption of the order. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the order, please recognize by indicating yay.
Yay.
Anyone opposed? By a vote of 7-0, the order has been adopted. Moving on to C-45.
C-45, Dean J. Mazzarella, Mayor, requests an appropriation of $66,860 be made to the Police Department Equipment Expense Account, the same amount to be transferred from the Excess and Deficiency Account. Basically, the chief did give us a letter here, which I can read. This is from Chief Kennedy, February 22nd, 2024. Dear Mayor, we are still actively in the process of hiring and currently have requested the new civil service certified list. The process is going to require pretest for physical abilities, mental status, and medical clearance prior to academy placement. This is our second round of hiring, and we are cautiously optimistic that it will bring us close to full staffing level. Our budget with the new and old stations in play cannot absorb this expenses. We will need to outfit each individual recruit with the required equipment that is specified by the training academy that recruits attend, making this appropriation a necessity. So basically, there's been a whole breakdown here for all the equipment that needs to be purchased is required for the new recruits. From handcuff cases to handcuffs to batons, radios, all the normal stuff that would a new officer would be outfitted with. And it would be my request that we grant C-45, and I'll ask that you check with the other member of my committee.
Councilor Pauline Cormier.
I agree.
You've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Finance Committee to grant C-45. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting C-45, please recognize the usual manner. Anyone opposed? By a vote of 7-0, C-45 has been granted. Does the chairman have an order?
Yes, Mr. President, order that the sum of $66,860 be made to the police department expense account, same amount to be transferred from the excess and deficiency account. Move for the adoption of the order.
You've heard the request for the adoption of the order. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the order, please indicate by saying yay.
Yay.
Anyone opposed? The order is adopted by a vote of 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Moving on to legal affairs and 25-24. Councilor Tossi, you ready to report?
(25-24), Peter Angelini, Ward 5 Councilor, requests to revise the amended Leominster City Ordinance by inserting a new section regarding short-term rental units.
Okay, so Councilor Angelini, the petitioner, is not here this evening. What would be your recommendation?
Further time,
And how about the public hearing?
continued.
All right, so the other member of your committee was, he was the chairman.
That's,
Pauline. Your petition
I would agree with,
for the time and continuing the public?
yes.
All right, so you hear the unanimous recommendation of legal affairs to give 25-24 further time and to continue the public hearing. Does the clerk have a suggested date and time?
March 25th, 2024 at 6:50 p.m.
All right, all those in favor of granting 25-24 further time and continuing the public hearing to March 25th, 2024. Councilor Frida? Yeah, sure. Okay, you can do it all. We can do the two together. You can have your comments now. It's a majority. It's procedural. Well, you need, in order to pass it, of course, you need 6 votes. But in order to give it, oh, that's, what's that? Well, that item we can take up later on. We'll hold that in abeyance for a moment. But what's before us is the further time, right? So I understand. I would agree with that. If this is in fact a zoning ordinance, it requires a 6 vote.
So when Councilor Angelini proposed this, I asked him if this would be a zoning ordinance or a general ordinance to the city's current municipal ordinances, and he wanted it to be the general city ordinances, not the zoning ordinance. So that's why there's.
Well, what I would recommend is in the interim, we will ask the city attorney to weigh on that. Does that make sense? You say it's a zoning ordinance, but I'm not saying you're wrong. I didn't say you were wrong. All I'm saying is there a harm in checking with the city's attorney? Well, what do you mean? What do you mean by we seem to be having discussions on all of the process lately? What does that mean? Yeah. I mean, you can't just sit here and throw innuendos out without there being any basis for what you say. Well, what does it mean? Please tell me what it means. The clerk just told me that she construes it to be a general ordinance. You tell me it's a zoning ordinance. I don't disagree with you necessarily, but I'm going to ask Attorney Riley what it is. How's that? ordinance. Okay. We don't need to go there tonight. We just don't need to go there. Okay. What we need to do tonight is vote on giving this further time and continuing the public hearing, which is what's before us. Any further discussion on that? Yes, please proceed.
Attorney Meadows to get his. We have myself, and I didn't check until after the other two mentioned what their information from the Ethics Commission. I have heard, and there's 3 different attorneys from what I understand, giving us one opinion. Brian Riley's giving us another opinion. I think this is a perfect opportunity. I don't think we've ever used them before. I would respectfully request that we get in touch with Attorney Meadows and get his opinion on this is important to the city. It's an important amendment.
Well, first of all, the building inspector provided us with a case that I need to look at carefully, as does, I think, Attorney Riley, relative to an SJC ruling on short-term rental in the residential zone. That's number one. Number two, as far as the ethics ruling or rulings, the only written opinion that was provided from the Ethics Commission came from Councilor Shalfo Zephyr's request that was provided to Attorney Riley. And in that opinion, there was a suggestion that the exemption for general application might be available to the city council in this particular instance. That's exactly what Attorney Riley opined on. So I see no reason for another attorney's opinion, whoever it is, on that particular matter. And as far as I'm concerned personally, I'm not interested in referring this to Attorney Meadows. So again, any other comments before? I wouldn't vote for it. If you want to make a motion to do that, you're entitled. Okay. Okay. Councilor Frieda made a motion to refer the ethics questions to Attorney Meadows. In ethics, I meant in general on all ethical matters, including both opinions. All right. So is there a second to that motion? So Councilor Shalfo Zephyr. All right. So any further discussion on that motion? This will be by roll call. Councilor Cormier?
Nay.
Councilor Pauline Cormier?
Yay.
Councilor Tossi?
Nay.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr?
Yay.
Councilor Robbins?
Yay.
Councilor Frieda? I'd be recorded as nay. So that's a 4-3 vote. That's not procedural in my view. So it fails. It has to be full five votes. Okay, now we can take up, unless there's any other comments, we can take up the issue of continuing the public hearing and further time. Any other comments on that? You want separate votes on that, Councilor Frieda? You want separate votes on continuing the public hearing? We can do it at once. Okay, not a problem. All right, so the recommendation from Legal Affairs is to give 25-24 further time and to continue the public hearing to March 25th, 2024 at 6:50 p.m. All those in favor, please recognize usual manner. Anyone opposed? By a vote of 7-0, 25-24 has been given regular time with a new public hearing date of further time with a new public hearing at March 25th, 2024 at 6:50 p.m. Moving on to 30-24, is the chairman ready to report?
Yes, Mr. President. Peter Nile, Building Commissioner, requests an update on our plumbing permit fee schedule.
And your recommendation?
Close the public hearing.
It was, and are you in favor of granting it, Council?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and I'll check with Council Pauline Cormier.
I agree.
You've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Legal Affairs Committee to grant 30-24. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting 30-24, please recognize usual manner. Anyone opposed? 30-24 is granted 7-0. Moving on to 35-24. Are you ready to report?
Yes, Mr. President. All right, 3524, Officer Julio Ramos, Leominster Police Department, requests to amend Chapter 13 of the revised ordinance entitled Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 13, Section 1324 of the revised ordinance entitled No Parking on Certain Streets, by inserting the following text: Church Street south of Miriam Ave for 136 feet, Church Street starting from 248 feet from Miriam Ave, ending at the intersection of Church and West Street.
Okay, and your recommendation on this?
Withdraw
All right, without prejudice.
without prejudice.
Council Pauline Cormier?
Agreed.
Here's the recommendation. You've heard the unanimous recommendation of Legal Affairs to give 35-24 a leave to withdraw without prejudice. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of giving 35-24 leave to withdraw without prejudice, please indicate in the usual manner. 35-24 has been given leave to withdraw without prejudice. Moving on to Ways and Means. Is the chairman ready to report? Chairwoman, I'm sorry, ready to report.
Thank you, Mr. President. 36-24, Mark R. Emma, Launch Leominster at 118 Commercial Road, Leominster, Mass. Request to renew the bowling alley license for 8 lanes. I can tell you that I have reviewed the entire packet. Their application is in order. All of they've been signed off on by the tax department and the police department. They are in good standing. So it would be my position to grant the renewal for their bowling alley
Okay,
license.
so your clerk is not in attendance this evening, leaving only your third member, Councilor David Cormier.
I agree.
Yes, Councilor Frida?
Call the police department and say, can we give this further time and get a police report, find out exactly what happened there?
I don't think that's appropriate. Police are investigating the incident. I was made aware of it as well. They're investigating the incident itself. I don't think it's right to hold up the renewal of their license based on an incident we don't know the details of, and I think it would be inappropriate for us to seek any information as to an ongoing investigation that the police have right now. So my recommendation would stand.
Councilor David Cormier, is yours recommendations stand as well?
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so the unanimous recommendation of the Ways and Means Committee is to grant. Any further discussion? Yes, Councilor Frida?
To the chair, I don't disagree with you wanting to pass it, but it's our responsibility to license somebody in the city if they're appropriate to license.
And they've been signed off. This has been signed off by the police department that they are in good standing.
Was it before or after?
It was before this, and I'm not going to hold up their license based on an active police investigation. I think it would be inappropriate for us to do that. They completed the application. We don't have, it's an active, ongoing police investigation. If the chief of police comes in here and says that he would like some action taken towards it, I think we can discuss it at that point. But I don't think that we can hold up their renewal based on the fact that their packet is all in order, everything else is in order, They have an active investigation going on with the police department as we speak. I don't think that we have the authority, nor do I think it's a good idea that we get involved in making active inquiries into the situation that happened this past weekend.
Also, David Cormier?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with the chairwoman. You know, if after the investigation, if there is any violation or was any violation of this license, then it can come back to us. We can have a hearing, but I don't want to hold it up either. And it's a whole separate discussion as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
Councilor Shalfo Zephyr?
Through the chair to the city clerk, when does the license expire?
April 30.
April 30? So we would have time to get some information from the police department, right?
I understand that, but it's an active investigation right now, and I don't think that we are able to. I don't think that this is the forum for us to involve a active police investigation to discuss that. I think what's before us right now is their request to renew just the bowling alley license portion of that. And as I said, I think if the police chief has an issue after their investigation is complete, then he can bring it to us then. I don't think that we have, just based on what we heard over the weekend and what was said over the weekend, I don't think that that is enough information to hold up the renewal on their license for the bowling alley.
Through the chair to the Ways and Means chair, I hadn't heard anything about the fight, so I don't know any of the details. I don't know any of the conversations or anything. So my question is, you know, is it a serious kind of problem, or is it just kind of run of the mill things that the police deal with all the time? That's why.
And I agree. And at this point in time, we don't know if it happened inside the facility, outside the facility. We don't know anything. It's an ongoing active investigation that I don't think that we have the standing to require a police report or anything else. And I'm sure it wouldn't be available. It's still an active investigation. I don't know if charges have been pressed. We don't know anything about it, but I don't think that that interferes with their ability to renew their license for the bowling alley.
Through the chair again to the Ways and Means chair. I mean, we don't necessarily need a police report, especially if it's an ongoing investigation. We could, however, just get another referral from the police department, which would make me feel a lot better, saying that, you know, under the current circumstances, we did, you know, support this renewal, this license renewal. And today, there's no date on the police sign off. So if we got something back from the police department saying, you know, despite an ongoing police investigation, you know, we still feel that you should give these people a license renewal, that would make me feel a lot better. I just don't know. I don't have any details about it. I don't know if it was nothing or something.
Thank you for your comments. I'm going to suggest, I mean, the permit does expire April 30. They need 5 votes in order to renew this permit. So maybe it makes sense for a couple of reasons to potentially, we don't have a full complement of the council. Maybe it makes sense to further time this.
Certainly, if that's what you suggest, we can further time this.
Council Frida?
I'm not looking for a police report. I'm just looking for a number of people that called me and said it was a serious issue. And I'm just suggesting that we make sure that it's resolved before we renew a permit. We do have the legal responsibility to do that. So, you know, that was my suggestion. I don't need to know the details, but I think, you know, it should be cleared with the police department before we.
Why don't we ask the clerk to get a second referral from the police department?
Certainly.
Okay.
So further time with a referral to the police chief.
Okay. Councilor David Cormier?
I'm okay with that.
All right. So the recommendation now is further time with a referral to the police department. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting 36-24 further time, please recognize usual manner. By a vote of 7-0, 36-24 has been granted further time. Councilor David Cormier has been granted a glass of water if someone's got one. Moving on to 37-24.
Thank you, Mr. President. 37-24, Entertainment Cinemas Leominster LLC, request to renew entertainment license at 45 Sac Boulevard, Leominster, Mass. Their application is complete. All their paperwork is complete. It would be my position to grant the renewal for the license.
You heard the, I'm going to check with your second member, if you can muster up a,
I agree.
okay, thank you. You've heard barely, but you've heard the unanimous recommendation of the Ways and Means Committee to grant 37-24. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of granting 37-24, please recognize the usual manner. Anyone opposed? By a vote of 7-0, 37-24 has been granted. We have no new business. We have no old business. We did have a portion of our community calendar earlier tonight. Is there any further items for the community calendar? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. And a second, all those in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you very much.
I haven't been sick like this in years.
The Leominster City Council meeting is funded in part by DeCarolis Insurance Agency at www.decarolisinsuranceagency.com and by Avidia Bank at www.avidiabank.com.